Seven. Means unity. Nguzo Saba. Collective work and responsibility. Gye-Nyame. Purpose. Creativity. Imani. Be faith. Faith in our faith. Faith in our faith. What does
Kuuba mean? Give me some ideas of what creativity means for us. What is creativity for us, y'all? Nobody? Poetry. What else?
Music.
Fashion.
Clothes.
Mathematics. Science. Technology.
Cooking.
Yeah. How about living?
Living. Oh yeah, we can very creative.
How about living for us is creativity. So everything we do in a creative way. Half time because we have to, right?
Right.
What else?
Now, well, before we get into Kuuba, I want to make sure that y'all know, speaking of Kuuba, that we have this RP still available. Tickets are still $5, and we're going to give this away at the end of the night. We're going to do the drawing today. So you get one ticket for $5, and you get 3 for 10. We got to find the DVD. I don't know what we're going to find. But DVD man here, we ain't worried.
I ain't got the car. I didn't send the car.
Yeah, no. More than likely, but still, the draft is on. I mean, the raffle's on, so we can do that. But speaking of creativity, one of the things we blessed with today is that we have a speaker that's going to demonstrate some incredible creativity. Just before he speaks, I just want to say this. He's one of the only persons that I was able to bring to this school, and he basically shut up all of the middle schoolers because he started the whole piece off with a freestyle. And that caught the kids' attention immediately. Because one of the things we got to understand, being a creative people, we recognize creativity, and a lot of times we start to, in a sense, praise that creativity. But one of the things I want us to start really learning how to do is being creative in everything and understanding that our ancestors' creativity was left here to take us to another level. One of the things I constantly stress, and I always go back to, is folktales. We need to sit down with our children and start reading folktales and look at the creativity that our ancestors placed in them. Because a lot of times you see a tale about Anansi, or you see a tale about Queer Rabbit, or you see a tale about Brother Fox, or you hear one of the Aesop fables, and you just hear these stories and you think they're talking to children. But let's get down to brass tacks. When those fables was written, they weren't written for children. They were written for adults to teach us how to deal with the world. Real Rabbit. I want y'all to think about this. Real Rabbit, after we came over the ocean, that's right. Real Rabbit was a design, was a map for us, a creative map for us to follow. With Real Rabbit, I want y'all to think about the situation. We got the weakest of all animals. Anybody ever had a rabbit? You know rabbits are cute and cuddly. They barely bite. They always on the run. In the wild, they are always the underdog. But Real Rabbit, out of all of the animals that our ancestors could have picked, they picked the rabbit. Why? Because the position that the rabbit is in the wild is the position that we were and still are in. So how do we transmit the tales? We transmit it through the tales how to overcome. Brer Rabbit, he beat Brer Fox, he beat Brer Lion, he beat Brer Bear, he outsmarted every last one of them. And those lessons are still here for us. We just have to kind of adapt them for us today. We got to take an adult look at them so that we can discuss with our children. Because what I like to tell everybody is that our folk tales are layered. So when you come in at 3-year-old and somebody's reading you the story, you get a different message. When you're 10-year-old, you get a different message. When you're 15-year-old, you get a different message. When you're 30-year-old, you get a different message. And the piece is that our ancestors left this creativity for us. And even before we had this incursion, this myopia, we always dealt with the underdog. We go back to Anansi and Anansi tales. What were they about? They were about a spider, one of the smallest creatures. But through his wisdom, he was able to gain possession of the most sacred thing to God. See, a lot of us don't pay attention to that in that folk tale. When they talk about Anansi going to the Creator to get the folk tales, to get the tales, to get the stories, that was the most prized possession of God. And what we do with it now. We don't share the stories of our personal ancestors. We don't share the stories of Anansi. We just allow them to program us with the stories on the screen. And that, I believe, is one of our biggest flaws, one of our biggest weaknesses, because we had them programming us with their stories. They're using their creativity to shape the world, to make us see it the way they want us to see it. I'm saying this year, this Kwanzaa, after this Kwanzaa, we need to start snatching our creativity back. We need to start doing story circles with our children. And as adults, we need to start looking at these stories and see what message we get out of it. You got issues in your job. You got political issues at the job. Brother Rabbit got an answer for you. You got an issue in your relationship. Brother Nasi got a lesson for you. What's wrong with this? So that's all I got.
All right.
That's all I got.
I think that's working. Anybody else have a creative message that they want to share based on maybe what they got from Kwanzaa or just throughout the year that would be helpful for us to share with each other?
Creative message.
Creative message. That's the message.
We got creativity.
That's the message. Have a
I'm gonna tell you right here, we got a lot of creativity right here. These brothers right here, these are my peers. You know, they make beautiful music, something that God gave us. And I want us to be utilized today, in some way or form or fashion. To wake up our spirits. You know, I feel like these drums bring something out of us genetically. Yes. And I feel like that's something that the Creator gave us. So that's creativity to me. All right?
Drumming down here or in the gym?
I don't know, wherever y'all want.
When we get to you, you're going to give us just a little bit of something on the drum before you go down to the auditorium with the children, please. Thank you. Abarigani.
I'm sorry.
Abarigani.
Go!
As Katim said, this year's Kwanzaa was awesome. We
Yeah.
outdid ourselves, and as I said before, it's sort of like the Kwanzaa we used to do in the 80s, where everybody really did participate. It was truly a community event, and so I think we've come full circle. We've gone back to that, and we can only keep climbing up the ladder to make it better. As you know, it takes a lot of manpower, women power, to do an event like that. And so we had a citywide committee, and somebody has to chair that committee. The person who had that awesome responsibility was everybody really did what they were supposed to do. A lot of the stuff that needed to be done had it not been for Jill staying on target. The elders have recognized the leadership that you brought to the table this year. And so on behalf of Tyler Family Village,
man, is this the wrong time to spread some hate? I need to spread some hate on this loving moment.
Jill has also agreed to chair next year's meeting.
Sometimes it's called voluntold, but we'll roll with it, right?
Hey, that's dope. Voluntold, that's creativity. That's creativity.
You can only get better.
So it says, so
Committee, please stand, Davina.
Kwanzaa committee.
Where's Emily, Nia,
I wasn't on that committee. I can't work with y'all. I don't
Come on, let me see who else. Let me see anybody else. My husband, Maggie, would you please stand? Thank you very much. All the hours
What's up,
you had.
Matthew?
Mama Elder Phyllis, Brother Hatim, I don't know why you sitting. Brother Hatim, I don't know why you sitting. Okay, and then again, everyone who supported in other ways. There were a lot of other ways. Take public pictures, all the food vendors. Give it up for Queen's Table. Give it up for Willoughby's. Give it up for Edith. Y'all was eating their food like y'all love this. So give it up for all them.
Well, like, we love you. We love you.
All the vendors that were there around, we supported. I thank all the vendors. You just don't happen by yourself, right?
Right.
Everybody pulling together. And then all the presenters and performers. We had, again, Queen opening night. We had all our dance performances. Did y'all love the dance performances?
Word.
Dance performances. Again, we had Brother Hatim making sure we ate good food and chicken. I know y'all mad about the plate, but say somebody got to do it.
What plate?
Passing the plate.
Nobody, no, they love that.
They did.
Oh my God.
The raffle, Sister Nia, where's Sister Nia? Sister Nia, Sister Emily made sure the welcome desk was held down every day. Sister Emily, that reminds me, we had 10 pre-Kwanzaa events for children. Woo! Give it up to all.
That's right. That's right.
They probably touched over 100 children's lives for sure. And pre-Kwanzaa events, I know Makeda did 3. I know there were 4 this week. Sister Emily, there was 1 each day this week. So far, there were 4. That's 7. And so hundreds of lives were touched, and that was the goal of the committee, not just of Jill Jackson West. It was for us to make sure that we did the work of the Nguzo Saba, so you all, and then we will continue in the spirit of that only. That's all that this is about. And we have many folks in the village whose hands and hearts have been at work, be it through sending out messages through Facebook or just contributing to the promotion of the event. We thank each and every one of you in each and every way, and we will continue this work. Everybody, all those on live, no matter how you contributed, please contribute in your space with your expertise to plan to do that from this point forward. Ashe. All right, y'all. I appreciate that. Okay. Drumming and some dance, but it looks like the drummers is chilling, so I'm not going to force them to make a move right now. We are approaching the 3 o'clock hour, and I guess without further ado, we do have our keynote in here. Now, this is Fire and Power, and we were quite intentional on today because we wanted to be able to take time to really take in all that he has to give. Again, we operate that way in balance and duality all the time. We want to give him great energy as well as he's going to give us so much fire and power to take into 2018. When I talked with him about doing this, one, he was so grateful and gracious about doing it. But he said, I want to talk about how we can use these principles in 2018, not just talk about them, be actionable about them. Is that right, Brother Yarima? So we get ready to talk about how to continue the action that we've done in 17 to make our celebration worthy. Because we've done a lot of work in 17. That Facebook page lists all of our activities that we have been doing throughout the year. So as you look through that and stream through that, it's not that we have not been doing work. Many of you all were not on the committee, but you put in work. Lord Ray puts in work all year round, for sure, in many ways. Open Kitchen puts in work all year round. All of you all in here put in work in your own ways. So we'll continue to list that, support that for each other, and talk about other strategies we can use going into 18 to make sure that we continue to celebrate our successes, ourselves, our community, and overall Black love. I just need a whole bunch of love in 2018. Y'all down for that?
Yeah, down for that.
Down for that. Okay, great. Brother Hatim, you got any words you want to say about what you're before we bring them forward?
No, it's going to be fire. That's all I have to say. I'm
telling y'all it's going to be fire. He wasn't even in the room, and he used the same introduction language. But we want to give you a round pause. Let's bring him up, y'all, with some love. Brother, y'all bring up you. Don't mind, we get the mic ready for you. And you can give him some love, y'all, please. Come on. Woo!
You say give something positive with lots of emotion. Well, see, sometimes that's hard because there's so much commotion. So let me start this right off with the twist. Something like this that you cannot dismiss. Check. I was in the motherland minding my business when suddenly I became a victim of resistance. They put shackles on my hands and my feet. My tribe sold me off to some blue-eyed beast. These devils walked me out to the edge of the sea. My mother was behind me, trying to be free. Had my father, my brother, my sister, my auntie. They tied us to a tree, so I fucked, and they stopped me. They put us all at the bottom of the ship, packed us in like sardines, face to face, lip to lip. I'm hearing footsteps up top, on deck. Yeah, they laughing, drinking tea while we down here soaking in sweat. Then I hear the mumbles and the groans from my peers. I smell feces and vomit. I'm drowned in tears. So for 36 days and 36 nights, I fight. I didn't struggle to hang on to life. Come on. I barely make it. I tell you it's a sin. People, we done lost 210. Only being fed, water, and bread. The sharks in the Atlantic Ocean, they eat up our dead. But I try to scream out and pray for their souls. Allah bless those for whom the bell tolls. So after 36 days, we finally hit land. I'm seeing strange men with some guns in their hands. Right away, they separate the men, women, and children. It's time to start building and killing for pilgrims. But first, they install some fear in you. See, with their wicked little minds, you just check what they did. See, they put us in a circle. We didn't think nothing of it. Then they grabbed one of our queens and cut the baby out of her stomach. The fetus hit the ground, then the mother fell next. But why didn't they write this in their history text? I'm being sold. I wonder where they send you. I went to Carolina, my sister West Virginia. My mother went to Florida. They separated us three. Both my father and my brother ended up in Mississippi. I'm homesick. I'm being broke down slowly. The owner changed my name from Coot to Toby. But you don't know me because I don't know myself. I work the field like a mule and it's messing with my health. I'm being worked from sun up to sundown. I'm getting beat for just uttering the wrong sound. I got lashes on my back. They're gonna stay. I stood up for a sister, but she got raped anyway. And then her brother, he got caught trying to flee. The next day, we found his body hanging from a tree. But see, this ain't no Holocaust. Need affirmation. This here is what they call straight extermination. But see, I try to scream out and pray for their souls. God bless those for whom the bell tolls. The fallen sons and daughters of the West. See, I'm trying to make it right back to the crest of civilization. So I made my escape. But a house Negro told, so I didn't get a break. They tracked us down in a wooded location. Then beat me and took me back to the plantation. Then to ensure that I wouldn't run again, they chopped off my foot and cleaned it with gin. But see, I still try to scream out and pray for their souls. God bless those for whom the bell tolls. I'm your ring for So, first of all, I give thanks for thanks is due.
I know, right?
The committee, I thank you. I always take these very serious, and it's just you giving me your ear because you didn't have to, so I appreciate that. And I think that we have to give another round of applause for Dr.
That's right.
Dr. Jackson. And the reason this is important, and it goes to a couple of the things that I want to talk to you about today. The reason it's important is because one of the things moving into 2018 that we have to start to implement is valuing one another. We don't have enough value for one another. And so when we have somebody with a PhD, a doctorate in front of, we need to acknowledge that. Because at the end of the day, you will go to the white doctor and acknowledge him, Dr. Smith, thank you, Dr. So-and-so. So when we have those within our communities, it's imperative that we acknowledge them. It shouldn't even be something that we think about. It should be something that's automatic and that we have to talk about. And I was talking to Butch Carter a couple days ago about this. And moving into 218 with everything that's going on right now, with the conditions of our communities, with the conditions of us as a group of people, I'm not really here to talk about the problem. Malcolm, Dr. King, Medgar Evers, Nat Turner, Jomo Kenyatta, and so many others, they talked about the problem. The great Khalid Muhammad talked about the problem. We know what the problem is. If we don't, we've been sleeping up under a rock. I go to schools and talk to the children about the problem. The adults, we know what the problem is. So it's about execution, and that's part of our problem. We know what the problem is, but we don't move, we don't execute. And the reason we don't execute is because a lot of times we're moving on an individualistic level, which is why this is so important. This function right here becomes so important, but I live by a philosophy like when I see my mother. Anytime I see my mother, we practice and demonstrate Mother's Day. I'm not waiting until May to demonstrate Mother's Day. Anytime I see my mother, it's Mother's Day. Every day I see my mom, if I see her, it's Mother's Day. I don't practice Black history the shortest month of the year, February. That's right. Hoping for the leap year with 29 days instead of the 28. No, I practice Black history every day because it's a part of who we are. So we can't practice the 7 principles for 7 days. That's right. A principle a day. This has to be invested in our daily lives every day. And why is that important? Why does it have to be invested in our daily lives every day? Because those seeds back there, we're leaving a blueprint. And we can leave a blueprint that's either negative or positive. See, we can't blame, we have a problem right now with the seeds. How people are moving. Everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody's over here. And what has happened? The seeds have followed. They followed a certain code, which was negative. But we constantly, in our community still, every day, no collective unity. No collective anything. Now this is important. This is important because the individual should be building, when we talk about Kwanzaa, when we talk about the principles, building for the collective of the community. Right. Capitalism teaches you something different. Get yours and forget everybody else. Right. The problem with that is that we've been the ones to suffer the most for because all other communities are on code. Right. All other communities are on code. I asked this question: why in 2017, sisters who want to be involved in politics, why don't we have our own Black political party? The Asians don't worry about politics. They don't care who's going to be elected into office. Why? Because they practice collective economics. They practice collective unity. They don't move on an individual level. They move together. So it never matters who's president. It never matters who their senator is. This is fact. They don't care that Trump's in office right now because they're still doing what they're doing.
Right.
And so why in 2017 we don't have our own Black political party? We have Black businesses here. I just did a story the other night on a Black grocery store in Kentucky. The only Black grocery store in Kentucky, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, where's a Black grocery store in Columbus, Ohio? Where's a Black grocery store in Indianapolis, Indiana? Why is this important? See, we talk about the principles. We talk about the principles, but the implementation. Why is it important that we have our own? Do you know how important Black media is?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Do you know how important Black business is?
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody who's got a vendors out here, they should have a building that they can put their stuff in that we can go to every day.
That's right.
And it should be open every day. And there should be a time. It starts at 9 and it closes at 9. And no, when I say 9, not 9:15. If you put 9 on the door, let it be 9. Yes, sir. Because but why don't we have that? Because we don't value one another. And so that's got to be the measure for this year, 2018, is valuing. The importance of Black business is that when you don't have one, guess what? You're dependent on somebody else's business. That's right. And so then when you go to somebody else's business, when you don't have a Black restaurant, then you go to a white restaurant. And they might discriminate against you. They might practice racism. What are you going to do about it? We're going to file. We're going to go complain. We're going to cry that we were discriminated against. Well, one thing that we're not saying is, where's our own? Why is black media important? Because your media sets the narrative. And when you don't have your own black media, that means somebody else is setting the narrative for you. So now, because somebody else is setting the narrative, it's hard for you to get the news that 500 missing black teens in the DC, Virginia area, and this has been going on for years, but we don't know this because we don't have black media that's pushing that. That's right. And the white media is not pushing it. Sure. Every year. So somebody else sets the narrative while we sit back. While we sit back and cry and complain, because that's what we do. And then the babies start to move out, because the babies know that there's a problem.
Right.
So they start to move out, but we sit back. We sit back in a dependent position. That has to change for 218. It has to change. It's mandatory. And so how do we get there? Strategy. Strategy. I'm an advocate of and I think, and you know, my mentor, I have two. And I never had a chance to meet them, but through books and writings, I just think that they were just, and there's actually a couple, but these two just, I think that they were just so brilliant. And that's Malcolm and the great Assad Shakur. Because I think that you have to have the yin and the yang. You have to have the epitome of black manhood, but you also have to have the epitome of what black womanhood is as well. And I think that Assad exemplifies that. And there's so many others, Shahrazad Ali, I mean, the list goes on and on. But one thing that Malcolm said that held so much truth is we give our enemies what? Only a fool would give his children up to his enemies.
Right.
And so, you know, sometimes we're looking for places to have events. We're looking for places to have talks. That needs to be somebody's living room. That's right. That needs to be somebody's basement. That's right. That's how we do it. Because why? Because it's important. It's important, and we cannot allow ourselves to be blocked from information. We can't allow that. I do a lot of streaming, Facebook and those social media outlets and that sort of thing. They're always blocked. They're always banning. It's not because I'm saying things that are crazy. It's because I'm saying things that are true. Absolutely. The system is designed. They don't want that information out. It's just the way it is. I get it. I don't get upset about it. What do? I go get my own website so I can put my stuff on there. You don't want me on yours? It's really that simple. So collective. The individual has to move for the collective. If the individual is moving for self, our demise is imminent. It's that serious. If the individual is moving for self, our demise is imminent.
Word.
We're talking GMOs. We're talking vaccines being shot into babies that nobody even questions just because the medical system tells you that your child needs this. Even though we know that since we've been on these shores, they've been experimenting on us medically. But we don't question. We just hand our child over, yeah, take that shot. And most people don't even do the research on what's in the vaccine. Most of the doctors don't even know what's in the vaccine. They sat down, had a $1,500 to $2,000 dinner with a pharmaceutical agency that's trying to push this product, and they say, here, we want you to push this. And they wine and dine them, and at the end of the day, the doctor goes back and starts to push it. So the individual has to move for the collective as a whole. We need black business. It's imperative. How do we get there? How many times have we heard about Arab shops disrespecting our melanated queens and kings coming in? How many times have we heard about that? And we don't do anything. We continue to go back and shop. And part of the reason we go back is because we don't have our own. Right. So even the thug, who people consider to be the thug, even they can play a role.
Right.
Yeah. Even if their role is to keep people up out that store. Because guess what? Now nobody's shopping. They go out of business. It doesn't really matter this one that goes out of business because his cousin has a shop 7 blocks down. His uncle has a block 3 dot, because that's how it is in our communities. But once we get this one shut down, we can buy that. It's really not hard.
Not at all.
But it takes execution. It takes movement. It takes a desire to want to survive. It takes a desire to want to see our children come into a future. I talk to insurance. I talk to ladies involved in insurance. Some of the most disgusting things. They say black parents come in, and when she talks to them about life insurance, what they're going to leave, she said the majority of black parents say, what? I'll be dead. Would I leave them something? Wow. Despicable. Wow. Despicable. So you got groups of people who are thinking 200 and 300 years ahead, and we're thinking about tomorrow. You got people who are thinking 200 and 300 years ahead about how they're going to leave their children's children some wealth. And we got the most genius children, and we don't feed them anything. Feed them a vaccine. Feed them a public school to prison pipeline that is not going to do anything. There's no reason our children should not be able to read by 3rd grade. That's right. Because they've already got a bed waiting for them. That's right. That's right. So it should be our job to make sure that that bed stays empty. And if that means that elders have to get together and teach some after school class, because it's about balance. Right. It's about balance. So if we know our children aren't getting Black history at school, right, which is very important. Important. How can you move forward when you don't know where you came from? How can you be a leaf or a branch on the tree and you don't know the roots from which you came? Right. So it's so important. So we leave them in the public school to prison pipeline. Why don't we have classes at night? That's free. Right. All it takes is a desire, initiative, and moving together as a collective group. Business. Our dollar rotates in the Black community less than 6 hours. I think the longest it stays in the Asian community for almost a month. The Jewish community for like 21 days. I have a Jewish friend, he's an attorney. He says, yes, Yurima, that statement is true. When they say that the Jews call you liquid money, liquid assets, yeah, because money pours right out of our hands into theirs. So collectively, why aren't we having businesses that we are spending with and allowing others? It's not just about us spending. It's not just about us, because that'll only go so far. Even though we do spend 1.6 trillion a year. That's right. We make everybody else rich but ourselves. That's right. While our communities are dilapidated and wretched in despicable conditions. There's a block over there on it's like probably about a block. Mount Vernon. Like 4 churches in a block radius.
That's right. In one block.
And those are the nicest looking establishments on the block.
Right.
Well, you got homeless up the road.
Yeah, that's right.
Every day. And then on Sunday, they come out, they rush into their cars. They ain't trying to be touched. Right. It's not a bang on the church. But we're talking about accountability, collective growth here. That's right. You can't collectively grow when you're moving as an individual, when you've fragmented yourself from the rest of the population. And that's what's going on. Yes. So business, we have to support one another, which is why value is so important. If I do not value you, if I don't value you, brother, how am I going to buy something from you? I have to value. It's not even the product, it's you. That's right. We don't really want to give our money to Walmart. For sure. What are we going to do? When the first killing started, not the first. I think the first one was Alton Sterling. Then it was like the next day or like 27, 28 hours later, then it was Philando Castile. So they had Alton Sterling down there in Louisiana, and then Philando Castile got killed up in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so people reached out. They were like, Urema, what should we do? I said, well, first and foremost, you got to stop spending money. Why are you going to spend money with the same people killing you? Right or wrong? And I understand that, okay, we don't have a lot, which is our fault, not theirs. We've had enough time to build, which is our fault. But stop spending. You should only be spending on needs. Should only be spending on needs, not wants. We have to be disciplined with money. I'm sorry, Jordan's is not a need. It's just not. It's not. Polo Macy's, the Michael Kors bag, that's not a need. Those are wants.
I need to make an announcement. We got a black Honda with the license plate HHR1521 that's blocking somebody in. It's a black Honda. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So every day you hear stories. Somebody goes into a shop, they drop money, drop a whole lot of money. They get harassed. Just had a woman up in, I think, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Get bucks.
What?
$6,700 in a tax fit. And they accused her of fraud. Come to find out she's a business owner. Wasn't fraud at all. Once they found out that the store clerk was just on some BS, then they decided to give you an apology. Matter of fact, you can get the stuff for free. We'll give you your money back and give you an apology. She said, no, I want to file a suit. Okay, cool. But shouldn't there be a black sax fit in place of that?
That's right. That's right.
And honestly, value. We're talking value here. And I keep it real. For anybody that's listening to me, we're funny about money.
That's right.
We're real funny about money. We do not want to spend with one another. That's not going to work. That's not going to move us together as a people. It's just not.
Right.
It's just not. It's ludicrous to think that we can move forward because it really does take finance to lift the nation.
Right.
And there's so many valuable things that we have. We're such a creative. I mean, when you think about it, the reality is that everything comes from us. They steal everything from us. Let's just be honest. They take everything. Even the resources are stolen from us. They're stolen from a Gebulon.
Yeah.
And so moving into 218, strategy. We need home-based education for our children. Because you have to offset. You have to offset. We're going to have our children in the public school to prison pipeline, and that's exactly what it is. Then you have to offset that with something. At the end of the day, when your child leaves the home, it's information overload. So that means you have to teach harder. So we have to start teaching. I teach young men when hey, the lady's pregnant, you need to start reading to that child in the morning. That's right. That child can hear. That's right. It can hear. You need to start. If you wait until the child is born, it's too late. That's literally the type of society we live in. Because there's so much information, and children are being born, they're looking around. What's going on? I'm here. So it's about getting, and here's the thing. The system, their premise, they want to get the mind of the child. When they conquered the natives, the Native Americans, what they did when they set up the reservations, they went and got the young and put them in their European schools, and then took them back to the reservations. Why did they take them back? They want the natives who didn't go through that system to know this is what you aspire to be. Otherwise, in this society, the mirror image of what we want you to be like. But they did it with the children because they knew the elders wasn't going for it. So they snatched. And once you get the mind of the young, and that's literally what this is a fight for the minds of the young. That's right. Now, for those that, and if people don't care about the next generation, well then that wouldn't apply to them. some people don't, they just don't care. They just don't care. That's right. I'm in the game because I care. That's right. That's right. I'm in it because because we need that 100-year, 200, 300-year plan. And so for us, by us, all of that sounds great. Hashtag we all we got. Those things sound great. They sound beautiful. The games to be sold, not told. That it all sounds great. It sounds good. But if you're not implementing, if you're not executing, then it's just talk. It's just talk. And so again, to execute, it has to be implemented every day of your life. When you wake up in the morning, it has to be, I'm looking in the mirror, Black history. And for my child today, what is going to be the lesson for myself today? Every day. Principle. Every day. What is my purpose? Every day I'm thinking unity. Every day, collective group economics and responsibility. What is my responsibility to not only myself, but the community involved? What is my responsibility? Every day. What is the reality of what I'm dealing with? Who's going to get it and who's not? And we can't let that be a deterrent because we're quick. We're very quick. We're like this. We go in for a bank loan. We don't get it. We try another bank. We don't get it. And I'm through. Banks ain't giving up nothing. That's how we move amongst one another. I try to talk to this person, they don't get it. I try to talk to them, they don't get it. Man, I'm through with this. Me, I'm the type, I'm going to all 1,000. If there's 1,000 banks in the state, I'm going to all 1,000 until I get a yes. Because I think the odds, you're going to more, I think I'm going to win. That's right. I have a philosophy. There's 7 billion, if there's over 7 billion people on planet Earth, somebody's going to say yes. Somebody, I just got to find them, but somebody's going to say yes. And so we can't be so easily swayed and give up. Right. That's right. Because you got a lot of knuckleheads. That's right. You got a lot of knuckleheads. Right. But the reality is this, you got, with all the knuckleheads, with all the ratchetness, with all the stupidity, Fidel Castro started a revolution. Sure did. 8 people. Sure did. With 8. Shook it up. And with what president since 1959 until he stepped down? Yeah, 8 people. Right. So it don't take many. That's right. But the ones who move as a collective, we have to do that. We have to. And again, the problem, we know what the problem is. We're disunified as a group of people. We don't value one another. Because if we did, it would show. These once-a-year events, they're great. They really are. But we should be doing this every day. 365. Exactly. Exactly. That's right. And the concept of coming together, we come together when there's a dead body. Somebody's gotten shot. And we want to scream on the police. But we're not coming together when there's no dead body. We need to come together just to come together. We need to come together just to sit down and talk. That's right. Talk can be heavier, it can be light, but we need to be doing it together. Why? Because we need to start getting used to that. It disgusts me walking through the community. People don't even say hi. That's right. People are like, they walking. And either that or their phone is glued to their hand. So the phone has become connected to the body now. That's a white person walking through this speaker. Oh, exactly. Exactly. How you do exactly? I go to Lincoln Cafe periodically. And so whenever brothers come through the door, and I'm a people watcher. Yeah. So whenever brothers come through the door, or anybody melanated comes through the door, people is looking. Who is that? What do you do? White man or woman comes through, nobody pays them any attention. They might be the ones there to kill you. I don't get it. But nobody even questions it. Right. That's a psychosis we got. That's a sickness. Where we can be in our own community and we look at each other and are very territorial. But those who don't even occupy our community, unless they come to try to gentrify it, those who don't occupy it, we don't even question. Right. What you do. Right. Security. It's security. Security. I was down on the work site at Poindexter, the project they built. White dude just comes up with a damn Confederate flag on his truck. Right. Brothers ain't saying nothing. But step on their shoes. And this is the sickness. This is the psychosis. So we got to call it out. And then we have to execute. Men have to go out in the community.
That's right.
Men have to be in the community. It's imperative. It's imperative because why? If 50, 60 men come walking through the community, it's different than 1 or 2. Right. 50, 60 men come walking through the community unified.
That's right.
Youngsters is looking, damn, what's going on? Because you know, we know. We want to know. We want to be in everything but calm. So everybody's, what's then you can spit something to them. You can give them something. This is what we're doing. We're trying to clean up this community. As a matter of fact, get that piece of trash up. Why is that piece of trash important? Because it reflects on what you think about your community. If you're throwing trash down in your community, let's go to Upper Arlington. Tell me if you see any trash. Then you'll know what I'm talking about. Gahanna, New Albany, all of that. So how you feel about it, these are small things. Just little things. But we look at them and it's like, or it's somebody else's problem. It's not somebody else's problem. It's our problem. Because we live here. I make it a point. Open, sisters be like, sure, open the door. I'm just opening the door for you. Because that's what men do. Okay. Thank you. No, there ain't no catch. Ain't no catch. I ain't trying to get nothing.
Sexual assault. That's sexual assault now.
I've been guilty of it.
I'm guilty of it too. It's dangerous to be a gentleman.
Yeah, exactly. But these are things that we've gotten away from. And they say that the first how you can tell in society when it's declined is the lack of morals. When the morals fly. They tell that's how you can tell when a society is about to go out of power and somebody else is about to take over. The first thing is morals. That's right. And so yeah, and so strategy. We need to be getting together. I have a program. The acronym is called PLEAS. PLEES. I pose a question to you and I talk about that. Black political party. Why don't we have our own black political party? Well, this is important. We've been here long enough, we should have our own. We know that the Democrats and Republicans is the fraud. They've done nothing for us. Right. Absolutely nothing. Neither party. And the only time they come is when they want to vote. And once they reach their agenda, which is our vote, they give us nothing back in return. But I mean, I would do that too. Right. If I could just take something from you and not give anything back in return, if you're going to allow it, well, I mean, hey. So why don't we have our own black political party? So PLEAS stands for PLEES, our black political party. Land. Land is imperative. Why do we live in communities for 30 and 40 years and we don't own anything in the community? And they complain about gentrification. Part of the reason gentrification takes place is because you don't own anything, so somebody else comes in and buys. Now, I know that there's eminent domain as well. Right. But what we're talking about is communities where you live in a place, an establishment, a building, and you don't own it. And so then people say, well, I want it, because they see value. We don't see value. They see value. So even all around the country, you see white people gentrifying. They want the city back. Because they see value, we don't. Even under the trash, right? Even under the trash that is on the ground, they see value. Right. Yeah, exactly. So, land. So you got black political party. You got land. Economics. That's the E. That's the first E. Economics. Economics deals on a whole gamut of things. You're talking cryptocurrency now, but you're also talking black banks or black credit unions. And when we talk economics, we're also talking about black accountability. Where are dollars going? How can these dollars be levied out if you are dealing with a black financial institution? How is this money levied out? And we're going to make you accountable for the levying of that money. Because what white businesses or white financial institutions do, they levy it out to their people. So even when you come in, when you see in the community black construction teams, a lot of or white construction teams, a lot of them got that money levied to them through white banks, white financial institutions. Absolutely. So we need black banks, black credit unions. We need to hold them accountable.
That's right.
Education. That's the second. Education. That's the foundation, or at least one of the foundations. And I'm not talking about the academic European education. Our children need knowledge of self.
That's right.
They need knowledge of self. It's a shame in 2016, last year in Virginia, last year, they did another study with the black and white dolls. And not too much has changed from when that study was first done in 1954. Yeah, it's gotten worse. And it doesn't help that you got brothers and sisters out here skin bleaching. So it's now moved from Kebulon, Africa, and Jamaica to over here, right? So education, but it's got it. You can't expect the school system to educate, give our melanated children the education that they need. We have to do that. I do leadership training periodically. They asked me to do leadership training because some of the teachers that come from the suburbs, I have to let them know our children are different. And it's a good thing. That's a good thing. And so you can't treat them like you treat them suburban kids because they come from a different area. It's traumatized, it's trauma, everything. We have yet to heal. We have yet to have a healing session. Healing. That's right. So important. That's right. Our people were kicked out of the bowels of a slave system that was so atrocious, so horrific, and we were just told to make it. We're going to sit down from a psychological standpoint or talking amongst one another. And that's part of the psychosis. We don't talk, we don't communicate because we're all traumatized. All of us. Now, we might not want to admit it. That's right. No. But I know I'm messed up. How could I not be? How could I not be here in a system that every day I'm under attack? Right. And that's real. We just got to admit that. We are under attack. Our communities are under attack. And so education is very important, but the key foundation to it all, spirituality. That's what the S stands for. No, I did not say religion. I said spirituality. That's right. Because spirituality, that's the essence from there. That's the essence. We come from the essence of the divine. Right. Before there was any religion put on top of that. Because the divine didn't put no religion on it. The divine is just the divine. That's just that energy. So man had to come up with something. Yeah. He had to come up with something in his finite thinking. And then in that finite way of thinking, he said, well, I can put some controls on this too. So I can mass control people, right? So we have these divided religions and all. No, what we're talking about is spirituality. So then that way, if see, we have to because we have to cut out all the barriers that divide us. Right. So instead of, well, I'm Muslim, brother. I'm Christian. I don't really mess with the Christians. I mean, you that. So we're spiritual beings having a human experience. That's right. That's right. So whatever your religious affiliation, let's talk about this spiritual affiliation that we have. We're all interconnected. I'm interconnected with you, brother. I'm interconnected with you. We all have that interconnection. That would be the barrier that breaks down to where now we can talk. We ain't even got to get on the religious side. We ain't even got to go there. Matter of fact, once we get our communities back right. Because at the end of the day, here, why is it important? Why is black politics important? Because if you're going to be here,
Right. Let's talk.
You're going to be here. If you're not talking about moving to a Kebulon, being up under a black government, a black regime, which in some cases even that
Can be right.
Come on, say it.
I want to talk about Zimbabwe and how they just sold out.
Yeah.
Right.
So even sometimes those black regimes
Right.
are just as bad.
That's right.
But let's not get it twisted because they will tell because again, see, we'll focus on that. We'll focus on that. It's easy to focus on us because we feel powerless to focus on anybody else. We feel powerless to go up against anybody else. But the truth of the matter is that many melanated people will call out African governments. Okay, that's great. But what about that 362 billion in gold that Queen Elizabeth has in her vault over there, stolen from a Kebulon?
How about?
What about this U.S. government that brought drugs into the community? CIA has admitted that this was done, but you still got melanated men, women, and children incarcerated. So don't tell me about an African government that's corrupt. All these governments are corrupt. Let's not just focus on the one because it's easy, because it's somebody that looks like me, because we do that as well. So 2018, that's all got to stop. And I'm not saying don't hold people accountable. But if you're going to do it, don't pick and choose. Let's do it across the board. Everybody accountable. Those that look like you and those that don't, more so. And then understand that those that look like you, while you're making them accountable, there's a reason for that. And it predates those that don't look like you. Congress. So, Black political party, it's important if you're going to be here, we need our own party. Need our own party. Yes, PL. Politics.
Land, economics, education, spirituality, what's the last one?
No, that's it. That's it.
So it's 2 E's.
It's 2 E's. Instead of please, PLEASE. It's PLEES. Yeah. And so Black political party, we need to be looking at that. So we need to be executing on that. Why? Because you might say, well, what's the possibility of us getting in office? Well, what's the possibility of us getting in office now? But you have more negotiating power. Because if the vote is really that important and you have your own party, then you can at least negotiate the terms. You can have your own black lobbyists too. You can hold your own political leaders accountable, just like they hold theirs. So when they go for votes and stuff that we don't even hear about until after it's done, and they just vote our lives away because one of their politicians has been caught in a very compromising situation, and he don't want those pictures or those tapes or those videos exposed, so he goes along to get along. Well, strategy. Set up your own party too. But if you're expecting somebody else to do something for you, and that's why we continue to lose, nobody else is going to do the job that we need to do. Nobody is going to teach our children the way that we can with others like we love ourselves. Exactly. Nobody. As a matter of fact, they're going to disrespect you. That's right. Because we disrespect each other. So this year is about Black love. That's right. Black love. It's about valuing one another. And really seeing value. Really seeing value. Because we're valuable. Everybody say that. We're valuable.
We're valuable.
We are valuable.
We are valuable.
I see value. I see the orb, the shining light. I see value. I see value. I see value in it. And we have to take this out. And then when you're out and you don't see any of us, but you see another brother or sister, you got to see the value in that. Because once we start to see the value in one another, then we can start to connect. Then we can start to connect. We can start to communicate. We can start to talk. period. So important. We also, the value is so important too because what I see out here, I need to see that in the building. But it's going to take us as a collective to make that happen. Pop-up vendor things, that's cool. But wouldn't you like a place where you could actually go and know that it's there and know that it's ours? It's value. That's what we have to push. That's how we have to move. And what's it going to take to get there? It's going to take us sitting down. It's going to take us sitting down, not once, not twice. No. This is a lifelong journey. Exactly. So it's going to take us sitting down and talking. And it's also going to take the reality of this in revolution. Because this is literally what we're talking about. The reality is that you might not see the win. You probably won't. But at the end of the day, you're in it because you want to get it started. Because you know the value of our children and their children and their children's children's children that are coming after. Mm-hmm. So you set the pace. It is. It is. And so that has to be 2018. Let's make that the measure. I do these things around the country called Unity Walks. As a matter of fact, they got one that they're doing February 10th in San Diego, California. But I came up with that concept because I want spaces for us to get together and kick, network, talk, build, heal, cry, be angry, talk about issues that affect us. We got issues in our community that we have to talk about. There's still issues with dark skin and light skin. It's true. As trivial as it might seem, those are still issues in our community. Yeah. There are issues that women feel slighted. There are issues in our community where women feel like, damn, bro, all you chase is white women. Right. Those things need to be talked about. See, we cover too much, we brush too much up under the rug. There's children issues with their families. You molested me. That's right. Those things need to come out. Because why? Because we keep that stuff bottled up. Right. And then we have resentment towards one another. And so when you have resentment towards something, you can't see value. Right. If you resent them or resent others that look like them. Right. We got things we got to talk about. We got issues to resolve. And sometimes that's the therapy. It's just getting it out. Acknowledge, no, this is what happened. This is what I'm going through. I say, they got AA and NA and all of that. Why don't we have our own group? That's right. Black women should be having groups talking about issues. Black men should be having groups talking about issues. That's right. Brother can't be afraid to say, yo, man, my dad molested me as a kid. And not be shunned for that. Right. Not be looked down or made fun of. Wasn't your fault, dude. Wasn't your fault. Wasn't your fault. Then maybe some others come out. And so, we do the unity walks around the country. And the purpose I set that up because we can't always be coming together when there's just a dead body. It's too late. It's too late. We got to come together before there's a dead body. Because maybe if we're coming together before there's a dead body, we can stop fix dead bodies. And then at the end of the day, too, when you look at other communities, the divide in our community is it's noticeable. It's so very noticeable. It's even noticeable by other groups. It's noticeable. It's ridiculous that people can come in our community and set up shop and not even be questioned. Or taxed. I'm from New York, man. I could not go to Chinatown. You can't go to Chinatown and set up shop. You can. Yeah. You're going to be out of business because they ain't shopping with you. And they got a code. The Asians got a code, literally. Like, yo, you can spend money with us, but we're not spending with you.
Walk 400 blocks around you and spend time with them.
Yeah. You can't do that. You're not going to go into little Italy and set up shop and get any business. But we let Arabs, we let Indians, we let Arabs, and that was the Arab slave trade was even worse than the European.
Yes, it was. It still is.
Truth to power, and it still is.
They still selling.
It still is. Some of the dynamics that we are up under right now. Some of the dynamics that we are up under. When I talk about those over 500 children, black teens in DC, Virginia, that's missing, organs are being stolen out of bodies. They're literally siphoning blood out of black bodies. And this is real. This is stuff you can look up. I'm not talking on. I'm talking on what I know. That's right. The founder of PayPal, he gets blood injections often. The founder of PayPal. And he says the younger the children, the better, because they don't have all the impurities that adults do. So this is literally what we're up against. They've estimated that there's 36 million people are worldwide enslaved. They just cut they had 36 million worldwide slaves. Whether they're in somebody's basement over in Dubai, whether it's organ harvesting, whether it's sex slaves, right? People come up in our communities missing. We don't have an Amber Alert for us. No. Every time my iPhone goes off for an Amber Alert, it's never a melody. Never, not once have I seen it. But yet we got children coming up missing out of our communities, and we don't question. How do you have over 500 melanated teen children in the DC, Virginia area, and you're not screaming about it? We're not screaming about it. Even if we in California, we should be screaming about that, but that's how divided our communities are. Because the Asians would be screaming about it. But what's going on with our children? The Jews would be screaming about it. The Ashkenazis. So this is why we have to see the value in one another, because nobody else is. Nobody else is. They love our culture, but they don't love our skin. So the culture won't. They'll come in and steal something real quick.
Including you.
Including you. Exactly. Right. Including you. I mean, sometimes when I drive late at night, I see vans with no windows running. They're sitting in Walmart parking lots. Not just one van, there'll be 5 or 6 of them. No windows on them. I see the steam coming out the back of the engine. They just running, tinted windows, can't see. Then you hear about people getting snatched. Oh yeah, my daughter got snatched. This is what's going on. And so this year it's about valuing one another. Value. And strategies. Let's open up some people's homes. Let's open up some community centers. There's 6 degrees of separation in this city. So everybody knows somebody who knows somebody else. Let's open up some doors and have these conversations. And then most of all, execution. Because we know the issues. We just have a hard time getting up off our butts and moving out. And that's what it's going to take. Execution. Value. And again, I will say, if we don't value one another, who else is? If you don't love self, who else is? Besides mom. And it's a long over. It's long over. We should have, you know, it's a damn shame. We should have a black gas station that we can go to. Mm-hmm. Right. And make no mistake about it, the blueprint is here. So we don't need a new blueprint. The blueprint was, look, Marcus Mosiah Garvey laid the blueprint. Malcolm X laid the blueprint. For economics, Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics, laid the blueprint. So the blueprints are here. We don't need a new book. What we need to do is cipher on the books that are already here that we might have missed some chapters. Right. We skipped over. Because the blueprints are here. We don't need no new books. We need to implement what's already been there. Dr. Claude, he got the tier for Knowledge. Black Boule kicked him out of Detroit, blocked him. He wanted to start with Detroit, block to block, and show you, set the blueprint for you. They kicked him out. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. And that will continue to happen unless we collectively say, no, we value one another. We value. We're not going to allow it. So I don't want to take too much time. Is there any questions?
How do we get a hold of your organization?
You can connect with me on my website. I brought cards with me. I will have to go get them, but you can connect with me on www.curriculum.com. Also, as far as the Unity Walk, you can go to the webpage www.theunitywalk.com. It's the put in just Unity Walk. I think something will come up with Alzheimer's or something. Yes.
Okay, is it possible that walk, can we start a walk here?
Absolutely. I've actually had about 6 walks.
Okay, well, that's
Can you talk a little bit more about the walks and what we can do with kind of how you do the walks?
Okay, well, I started the walks last year. We had the first one last 2016, I think it was June of last year. Had it in Franklin Park. The walks is basically summertime. We're going to do it outside, and all the ones that we've had that have been in the summer we've had at Franklin Park. Otherwise, I have them in the library. And like I said, it's just for us to get together. It's a place where melanated people get together. I set a date, a time, a location, and we just get together and we talk and we build. And then we try to, what is the main thing is trying to get people to bring somebody back to next time, but also setting up agendas. And so when you come back the next time, then you report on what you did, what you implemented. It's just things about execution.
So it's not necessarily a walk per se.
It's really a get together. But I call it the Unity Walk because here's the thing. And Dr. Claude talks about this. And they actually had a law in 1705. Here's the thing. And it's still probably active today, even though we don't probably look at it like that. But the fact of the matter is, they say wherever there's 6 or more black people gathered, there needs to be 1 white person, because they want to get that information. They want to know what we're talking about. And so when I started this, I said, well, if a group of people, if we're all gathered, we had a walk in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and we were down in the downtown area, and literally it was a group of us, and the white people that were passing, it was like, and this lets you know that it gave me a clear-cut picture of really how our community is, because they were so surprised. Some of them were frightened. You could see it on their face. Some of them were walking by like, because that's a problem. Right. That's a problem whenever a group of people can walk by and be surprised to see black people congregating together and not fighting. That's a problem for us. That's an issue. That should be normal. People should be walking by, and keep it moving, because it should be just that normal for them to see melanated people connect. And so I do the walk because I wanted to make sure, like, if it became an issue with a whole bunch of us, well, we can walk. So when the police get called, we're out in the park, we're walking. Right. When they see a group of blacks.
Right.
And it's a shame, but it is what it is. So
It is
that's
what
why I
it
set it
is.
up like that.
That's very smart. Very smart.
So,
Do we have any other questions? There were quite a few things that Brother Yarima brought to us for 2018. You talked about education, you talked about economics, you talked about us valuing ourselves. And those are such powerful pieces. Does anybody have any comments or thoughts that they want to share based on what this brother has imparted to us? We want to have opportunity for Q&A. and or just respond for comments from the community. I think we all have something on our hearts, or hopefully we should have something on our hearts, because from this point forward, when you hear any of us talking, we should be talking about action forward. If we're not talking about action, then we shouldn't be talking, y'all. You see what I'm saying? So let's talk about some action-oriented steps that we can take as a result of what Brother Yarima has given us today. Mine, obviously, as y'all already know, is to continue working on Kwanzaa for 18. Right.
Just
as I was told I was going to be doing that. I got work to do. But Brother Hatim, and then y'all get ready, because I'm coming around the room. I'm real good at that. So get ready to have your thoughts forward about how we're going to move forward 18.
One of the things that I've been doing since last year was I've been doing what I call the Nguzo Saba challenge, and you can look it up on Facebook. Basically, you take, rather than saying the weeks of the day, the days of the week, you say a principle. So instead of Monday, you use Umoja. Instead of Tuesday, you use Kuji Chagalia, so that you could be focused and be looking for the principle in the community. Because we have developed the habit of looking for what we don't want. I'm challenging us to start looking for what we do want. If we want to see unity in our community, we could go out and start looking for it, or start creating it ourselves. So that's one of the things I do along every day. I wake up, and it's not a Monday for me tomorrow. It's a Moja for me. Actually, tomorrow is going to be a Moja Imani, but it's a long story.
Thank you, Brother Hatem. Somebody else want to volunteer?
I got a question. So you spoke about getting the men in the community together, maybe, like having that strong male presence in the community. Have you had any support with that? Where are you at with that?
We had I was actually working with Dr. Boyce Watkins of Black Men United. Since I've taken it upon myself, I try to particularly talk to our young men. Because at the end of the day, and this is not to take anything away, I personally think sisters are the most beautiful things in the world. I don't think it, I know it. But other communities look at us as a matriarch. And I think that it's about time men started to stand up and take their place in the affairs. Too many men sit back and don't take the lead. And it forces women to take it. Even when you look at Black Lives Matter, right? You're talking about women that started that organization. So, and not that I'm a big supporter of it, but in any case, and that's what I'm trying to do as far as even our young men.
Like, I want to get on this. How would they contact you? Just via Facebook? Give you a page?
No.
How would they contact you?
I'll give you my card, but you can contact me at gmail.com. I don't, because Facebook is constantly banning me, so contact me directly. Or I'll give you my
I got
number.
your number.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make sure the public knows how to contact you.
Oh. gmail.com, or you can go to my website, www.gmail.com.
I think one of the issues that goes with that is that no one is teaching the young men. Because of that patriarchal structure that we have fallen into for whatever socioeconomic pressures and problems that have forced us to that. I have a 20-year-old daughter and trying to find a Black male for her to date that is of quality and caliber about something. It is frustrating. The black men are not being raised. There are no men.
But we're skinny jeans.
Right? The men, what is the generation? It's like the curse that's moving forward of the actions that is Black men. And strong Black men who actually know who they are.
Well, it is, and I think that when you combine what Nixon, Reagan, and Clinton, as far as the prison industrial complex, when you combine, and this is why I say we're up under mass attack. When you combine the toxic crack music, which that's an agenda. So first of all, we have to understand that propaganda is legal. For the news media to do it, it's legal. And so when you combine all of these things, especially the music, because we're a music inclined people. When brother talked about the drum and the importance of the drum, we gravitate to it. So when you talk about the music into the minds of our children, and then you talk about skinny jeans, you talk about Percocets, which is all things in the music. I think that we have to start looking, and this is where we can't segregate ourselves. We have to look at melanated people, the whole community, meaning worldwide. This country. And there's going to be, just like you got in this country, there's going to be those that you're not going to be able to gravitate to because they're going to be on something else. Outside, we have to look at us as a whole because that's how the attack is coming. It's coming at us as a whole. They just came out with they got a male birth control. Yeah. Yep. They got vaccines particularly to kill black women in Africa. And Bill Gates said, he made the comment weeks back in Germany, influx of immigrants, the first place you have to start, you have to depopulate. He used the word depopulate Africa. So I think when you talk about the missing men, they're there. But I think we have to be a little bit more broad in our scope.
Not only is it
yeah.
Yeah. You got medications. Yes. Grown breasts. There's a lot of things out there that's messing with you. That's what that's period.
Yeah, absolutely. Soy is big. Chemo.
Tyrone Hayes, he's telling you about how they spraying the crops and ovaries.
So all of those things combined, and then they're masculating the women.
That's right.
So it's really gender reversal.
That's what it is going on. Not only with that, but putting the books in the school to make it acceptable. There's something about the media. Yeah, when you see commercials, big, strong, buck, you understand, talking about bowling, and the white guy goes up and kisses him. And I'm talking about, this ain't just a kid. They're pushing this agenda. So when what you were saying about how the behavior, we take on the behavior of the slave master, every nation that has ever failed to those behaviors have failed. You understand? So, it's another thing I want to say. I want to do just me and you in hotels. I want to holler at you before you leave because it's something we have to do about two of our people that are at each other doing things.
It's three.
Three of them. And I've examinated all of them except Boyce Watson has not said anything out of the ordinary. Because I had to find out for myself. And I think that we should not only say something about it, but we talking about powerful brothers damaging their credibility, that we don't see no difference between them than when I deal with the guys on the corner. You understand? And so as elders, we need to call on our other elders to charge them down as men, because right now we're under attack and they're using them as that too. We go back and forth with each other. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, here's the thing, Zach, and I always say that the people that really need to hear these messages a lot of times aren't here.
Right.
And so even when you talk about trying to find a young black man for your daughter, for the young people that listen to those brothers, right, they aren't on code. Right. So now the young people, what happens, unfortunately, it makes it worse for our community because they all have a following. Right. And so because they all have a following, now their followings are beefing with each other.
Right. And that's the same mentality as a gang. Exactly. That's the same mentality that we're going against from the beginning.
And it's all working up underneath the same thing that we was talking about, that meritorious manifesto. You understand? So when we see that, we see what they're doing, but as us, you can expect from me to do some of that. Okay, that's me. You understand? But we have scholars. You understand that there's nobody not called. But we don't need this kind of foolishness right now at this present hour or any other time. I've never seen Malcolm go anywhere and said anything like that. I've never seen Amos Wilson come at somebody like that on any level. Only time Garvey said something about somebody, I think it was the voice. He said, "Tell that nigga to get out from in front of my house, or I kill him." But he enveloped. He changed that, because he put it on. So we need, as us, I'm an elder, but we need to be able to do this and put it out there, and maybe they can see that, Omar's my friend. You understand? It's damaging, man. It's so damaging, just like what you just said. It's like pulling people together that don't even really have a consciousness, but they following somebody. You understand what I'm saying? That, revolution is every day, and the insidious nature of the beast that we go against, he comes at you in different ways. Ego have to be squashed.
Well, I said that we should, I personally, and I just had this discussion of a bunch of people reach out to me, wanting me to talk about it. I told them I wouldn't, except for the fact that I think the brothers aren't on code. There's a code of conduct.
Right.
There's a code that we have to adhere to. I personally, I can't see a black woman getting beat down and not doing anything.
Right.
That to me is code.
That's right.
It's automatic. I'm going to
try to do something.
So even with this outburst from these brothers, brothers need to. They're not on code by doing it in the public because of the followings that they have. But I also say this, and I stand by this. And I told the people that rock with me, I'm not a leader. No. Now you might look at me as a leader. I'm not a leader. I think all the great leaders are gone.
That's right.
But these brothers as leaders, right? And if you look at me as a leader, then you need to ask, why wouldn't leadership be trying to connect with other leadership who's basically on the same thing that you're on? If they're not doing that, then you have to say, well, there's some ego invested here. There's an ego invested. Might be a little money play invested, without a doubt. And so we have to call that what it is. These brothers have been on the scene too long to not connect with one another. Because when the leadership connects,
that's right.
Then there's a lot to the people.
To me, I think it's like where it's intentional, creative, divine, and if they can't see it, and we see it, then what should we do? We should still fall in. I'm a soldier. I look at that, you understand? And I'm for my race first. You understand? And this is damaging our home. It's going to do a lot of damage, and they depend on it.
Well, I think we got to keep in mind.
I want to add to what you all are saying, because another thing too is we've seen this historically. We had Frederick Douglass and Booker T. You know what I'm saying? We had Martin. We've had these different ideological differences historically, and we've always had our community divided by them. We should know, again, like we have these blueprints. We have a blueprint of knowing better. And again, I think that Elder Renee brings a good point about us definitely having to call it out and say, hey, we know better. And we know what the result of that is. So why are we even participating?
I think too, it's imperative that we keep in mind, because we don't know, COINTELPRO is still alive.
Yeah, never die.
So COINTELPRO is actually so we don't know, you don't know the brothers who's next to them in their ear egging it on, who's not even really for the cause. There you go. But they're egging it on, and so because it's the same thing. See, it's the same playbook. It's just different.
Right. So why we even participate in knowing? We can go back to the 1700s. We got too much time in this. So again, it's unnecessary. We have a lot of comments. Sister right here. Sister in the back. I'm sorry.
We are to be, teaching
teaches kids about self-love and self-worth. They grow up their whole life never being told they're worthy of anything. That's why they lie. That's why they pick all the wrong things, doing all the bad stuff. Nobody loves them and nobody is talking about love themselves. And I see more by the time they're adults, them and it's a lot. So my goal is to any chance I get impart some kind of self-love into the child. That's right.
And I would add to that, that particularly with the male children, I would add to that they need a male mentor. But not just any male mentor. They need a melanated male mentor. It's not just him. And there's a reason I say it. Because what you're talking about is planting the seed. The seed of racism has been planted in all of us.
Right.
And so some of us have had to do some deprogramming and reprogramming of our thinking to get out of that. There really is a matrix and there is a social footing. And so it's going to take a particular group of men. And to mention these brothers, I don't see why they can't get it, but it's going to take a particular group of men to teach young black folks. That's just real.
One of the things that, as I was listening to you all talk and share, I'm really thankful for this. I don't want to take anything away from anything. But I want to suggest something and ask. Thank you very much. Right?
I was saying, I want to suggest and ask. And if I don't say it in a question manner, please understand that this isn't a matter of me coming from an asking place. So I'm trying to formulate something that's very etched in my being. That's not a question, it's an answer. My motto is, for every problem, there is more than one solution. And I think what's happening in our community a lot, my feet are on the ground. Boys and young men in our community. I'm dealing with college students in our community. And my work, I've had to do what I'm doing. If I don't do it, I'm gonna die. I'm serious, I'm not kidding. If I don't do this work, I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna make it. So what I'm saying, I'm a single mother. I raised both my sons. My sons are 21 years old and 25 years old. My sons were attacked by the system while I was doing work in the community. And I had to fight like a lioness. I mean, and I whooped it behind, So thank you. But inside of that, what I realized more than anything is that I love our brothers. I love our brothers. I'll never go anywhere else, ever, 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 ever. There's no one I'll ever respect more than our brothers. But I'm a motherly person. I'm very motherly. Rima knows me. I fuss. And I'm serious when I fuss. I mean what I say what I mean, and I'm saying it with love, but also with a tenacity. And one of the things that I'm seeing in our community is exactly what you all are expressing. It's going to take a specific, special set of brothers. Excuse me, brothers. Thank you, brother. It's going to take a special set of brothers. But inside of that, in the meanwhile, us sisters cannot afford to sit around like nothing's going on. These brothers are out in the street. These boys and young men are out in the streets being murdered, being choked to death. And we're watching it as mothers. These children came out of our wombs. We can't stand for this. And I'm serious about this. Is my work in the community. This is what I've been working 14 years building this project. And for me, I need you, Brother Urema. We talked before about this. I'm not here to exert or to push away our brothers. But until our brothers arrive, or until, they let us know, hey, we got you, we can come and do this, and we'll take this part up. We got to get to work. We don't have this is what we've been doing. And so we got to continue. We got my whole motto, me. My whole motto is we got pawns on the front line. We got pawns on the front line. They have our boys on the front line, and they're not prepared for spiritual, physical, or metaphysical warfare. But we okay with them being on the front line, and then we act surprised when they out here in the street getting murdered. No, we got to come and assist them. The queen is the most powerful piece on the board. The king is the most valuable piece on the board. There ain't a piece more valuable than the king. So my whole thing is to bring value to the king. Then our job becomes to collect our resources as women. And why? Not so that we can be feminists. I'm not interested in that. I'm going to be black first, and the black man comes first. Is to be used to position the black man on his throne over the kingdom so he can rule. And inside of that, when we do that, we have established his kingdom. Now he can rule. But the problem is that we're looking at brothers that are 100% torn down. So we got to build them up. How do we build them up? In the meanwhile, we have to build the boys and young men up, because we're going to lose this generation right now that's about to go out in the world. Her daughter needs a husband, and the rest of our daughters need husbands. I don't have daughters, I just got sons. So my whole thing is to bridge the educational gap. That's the way I know how to do it. So I'm dealing with the colleges and universities, getting them there. We're dealing with chess. We're building with them to build this strategic thinking so that they can have a life plan and begin to move. Now they can see a mirror image of what a king should look like. Because coming from a single parent home, they don't know what a king should look like. And the girls have a direct representative of what a queen should look like. That don't mean all of them are queens, but they have a direct representative of what a queen should look like. So in the best way I know how, question form, what do you suggest that us sisters do in the interim? Like, what is your best suggestion for us? Is this work that I'm talking about in you brothers' eyes, is it appropriate?
It's generational warfare. He said it earlier.
I was asking a question. Yes, sir, that was a question.
There's a few things. I think that your work is absolutely valuable. However, here's the thing. I think that when we talk about, first of all, we're not preparing our children for war, particularly our male children. So when you talk about the part that you play, I think that you have to round up the troops as far as other systems. I think that we have some, and when we talk about, even you, Queen, I'm thinking about what you were saying. We have to use the tools at our disposal. So, for our young children, you might be looking for a male mentor. If you're a single mother, put them in front of a Dr. Umar video. Turn off the TV. Sit them down and let them watch a Dr. Umar or a Yurima Karama or a Aaron Johnson or one of them if you don't have anything at your access immediately. Because they're going to watch something anyway. So force them. I know a father right now in Fayetteville, his son sits down and watches Dr. Boyce, and he's got his pen and pad out, and he's actually working stocks right now, just from watching Dr. Boyce. Now, you might say, well, that's mentoring. That's mentoring. If your daughter, she should be sitting down watching a Shahrazad Ali video. She should even be sitting down watching some of our most prolific men. Sit her in front of a Malcolm, because why? Because as much as you want for her, she needs to know how a black man acts, thinks, and moves. So if you don't have that readily available to you, put her in front of these people so that she knows that seed can be planted. Because literally, we're talking about warfare. We're literally talking about a fight for the mind. The other thing is that, and the reason I say, Queen, round up the troops, is because you literally, and I just went through this yesterday. I think that our strong black queens, they need to be on one accord, because they need to hold the family of black queens accountable. So yeah, and the reason I say that is because of this. And you might have some now understand everybody didn't get on the boat. Everybody didn't get on the boat, so everybody's not going to make it. But at the end of the day, if you have a queen who's dressing her son in a dress, hey, that's real. I just went through that yesterday. If you got a queen that's dressing her son in a dress, because she's thinking like you, I need to save my son's life.
Say that again. Show me again.
No, she's thinking like you, that she needs to save her son's life. Remember, one of the things coming off the plantation that was instilled in black women is that if you don't discipline him, I will. And if I discipline him, I'm going to kill him. And so her thing, the woman's thing now became, let me coddle this kid. And I'm not saying you, queen. I'm not saying you. But I'm saying that there is a history of especially, I've been in households. I've been in households where the son has got his feet up, 17-year-old son has got his feet up playing video games. The mom is sitting there, and the daughter, the 15-year-old, is going to work at Wendy's. And I've been in more than one household where that has happened. So sometimes the mother in her finite or desire, to save the child, will do other things. And that's why I say it's important for the strong queens to hold the flock accountable. But on the flip side, on the upside, more people are waking up. More people are waking up. And so, and thanks to the advent of social media, thanks to the advent of brothers stepping up, don't think that this is easy, because it's not. People literally are putting their lives on the line. So I even in their state, brother, of ignorance and not being on code, because I've cycled with these brothers, I understand. These brothers are marked men. Their lives are on the line for us. And so, we can talk about the deficiencies in character and all of that. Everybody's got that. Yeah, you got to be on code.
And sometimes we have to put it out there. We now don't follow. We revolutionaries. We in this for the long haul, as we say. I've been in it for the long haul. So for me, I know that what that division does. You understand? It not only coming off the street, you agents are up under them 24/7.
Yeah.
So and there might be some agents in here.
Exactly.
I've been around it long enough to see that.
It's also one other thing. If any of you have particularly sons that need mentoring, you can get my information. That's not a problem. Because that's how important it is, literally. Like, it has to be the right men, the right men. There can't be no coons.
Particularly for this area, the school, the village, we will be starting our training for the warriors, male and female. Because, like I said, Kwanzaa is in a sense of break time. The real work starts after this. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things I also want to say is about quote unquote leadership. One of the things that we have been around long enough to adhere to is, what is the lineage that the leadership is coming out from? Like, for example, if I was to get on the internet and have internet beef with somebody, one of my elders could call me right away and check me, because I have a lineage that I'm responsible to. I have elders as a grown man that I have a relationship with them, that if I was to disappoint them, it would break my heart. You know what I'm saying? So now, when you don't have that, and people could come out the blue or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, what's the lineage? And that's the only thing we need to really look at. What is the lineage when we're talking about leadership with some of these people that's up here on this internet supposedly representing us? I'll give an example, because even with my sons, one of the things I tell all my sons, we don't beef on the internet. We don't beef on the internet. I just caught one of my boys on there just talking crazy. So I start talking to him. Another one of my brothers start talking. So we don't beef on the internet, dog. All this is admissible to court. You know what I'm saying? If anything happens, you're in trouble because you have said that. And also, one of the things we need to look at is that there are men out here. They're out here. And we got to stop, because it's like, we're not going to lose a generation because we working. I've been working too damn long. It's not over for me. And I got young men coming up behind me, but it's like, as a community, what are the benefits of doing the right thing? And because really, most of our kids are doing what we taught them, get money, because that's what the rap music was telling them. That's what we telling them. As a matter of fact, we tell them get educated, get a job so that you can escape. Escape from what? You can't escape from being black. So a lot of our kids, a lot of the men are doing what we told them to do, get out the community. And now it's time for us to start coming back. You know what I'm saying? And then also, ladies, sometimes you got to check where you might be looking for these men at. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because like I said, the real ones, the ones that you want, ain't at the club. You know what I'm saying? They ain't in some of the places where we try to look. They ain't doing the stuff like, for example, you had men all throughout Kwanzaa that, cause I've been one of these men.
You're just too nice for me.
Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? And then got a baby daddy, you got to raffle down. Get out of here. You too nice for me, Karima. Saying all that wisdom. Look at all the brothers' faces. We done ran into it. You know what I'm saying?
Now you want to give me the mic back after that. And so listen, look, I want everybody up in here to grab a couple of these Kwanzaa program booklets and give them out to your friends. There's several black businesses in here that need to be supported throughout the year, okay? I see an insurance company owned by a sister, Goto Insurance. She does everything from car insurance to life insurance. All right, we have my band's in here. I play in a jazz band, Liquid Crystal Project. You can get in touch with us. We play for you. We have, it's just several black businesses. We need to treat this like the Yellow Book pages or something like that. This is not just the Kwanzaa book for December 26th to January 1st. Please grab several of them because I got to box them in the car and I don't want to look at them on here either. All right, and get them out.
You selfish.
Right. I'm trying to get rid of them too. All right, okay, so, somebody comes to your house or whatever, y'all talking, you're like, hey, brother, take this with you, get some insurance or whatever, okay? All right, please take them. I got more in the car, too. Hey, thank you all. Brother, did you want to say something?
Yeah, son, I'm sorry.
Don't forget to raffle.
Also, well, we're going to do the raffle after we do the conference. The closing is we'll do the raffle. We're going to close with a strong lift every voice and sing. Y'all feeling that on the exit out? I hope y'all are. We appreciate it. And the words are in your book. I'm giving everybody 2 books, one for you and one to do like my husband suggested to pass on to someone else. So make sure when you leave with 2.
Hello, how you doing today?
How you doing, bro?
So I know we probably past when all the discussion from when the one sister started speaking about the kings and the queens, but I wanted to kind of agree with her on what she was saying, and also I'm agreeing with everyone here. But I sometimes sense that there's still a lot of opposition between the black man and the black woman. I think sometimes we hold our peace, even based on what we feel, but sometimes the energy is still there. So for me, I feel like we need to destroy that energy. You understand what I'm saying? So we know we're a spiritual people, and we understand that we're a very spiritual people. So with that being said, it's one thing to be wise enough and intelligent enough to be submissive at the right time, but it's another thing to destroy that energy. Period. You see what I'm getting at? So that's where that's the importance of the round table and the union between the black man and the black woman. So it's one thing for all of us to have an agenda, and those agendas we try to put them together like a puzzle to where we're in agreement. That's one thing. But it's another to be in total union. You see what I'm getting at? So the unity, I think, the unity between the black woman and the black man is still smoky. You see what I'm getting at? And that's what we have to destroy. So then we won't have a problem as black men, edifying our black women. And that's back to in agreement with what she was saying as far as, saying it's okay. I mean, it's okay for us as men to support them 100% in what they're doing, because we understand, like she was saying, the importance and the role of the black woman in the home, even when we're in the home. And you see what I'm getting at? So we're not constantly competing. Does that make sense? So I just want to say that. So the focus should be, again, to destroy the energy of the negativity between us as the black man and black woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, brother. Absolutely.
Y'all give that brother some love. That was such a positive space to be in, because we've been talking a lot throughout the week about changing our language, changing our thinking, changing our being, to just being more positive. We do enough tearing each other down. So can that be added to the 2018 strategy? It's just that our language changed. If we're not greeting each other with love or saying, how about first greet each other?
Right. Yeah.
I'm saying, everybody in this room commit to greeting another brother and sister in 18. Say I say.
I say.
Period. We got to be the ones to do it. It hurts our heart when we walk past brothers and sisters, and we don't even look at each other, speak, or none of that.
Right.
Let's just start right there. And then there's, again, multiple solutions to our problems, but we all have them. So let's continue to impart them in 18 by seeking, sharing love, and changing that energy to positive. And in between now and next year, when we celebrate the principles, this is the celebration of the work we've done up until now throughout the year. We're going to put in work. We'll be meeting in a variety of different ways, in different areas. We're going to put in work. And then the goal will be to bring it all together, but not take from anybody's work. Everybody got their own work to do. Everybody got their own assignment. Ashe? I know I got mine. Y'all got y'all? Everybody got their own assignment? I ain't. Everybody? Okay. I'm going to make sure everybody got their assignment. And that's what you know within your spirit, between you and the divine. It's your purpose to do. Leah, Ashe? Leah. Right. Okay, Sister Akila had a word, and then we're going to wrap up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Akila West, and one of the things that I think is important to keep in mind is that a foundation that is not strong or not solid will not actually give a building that is sturdy enough to house more, to do more, to cover more. The foundation, which quite often is with our elders. If we do not instill in kids that are ours and that are not ours, that are in passing, respect for our elders, quite often it's hard for us to just come off the top of the head about an economic opportunity, a fiscal opportunity, which is similar, an intellectual one, a spiritual one. We almost have to keep the idea of Sankofa in mind, and that is really reaching back to our ancestors to find out what it is that worked for them, what didn't work for them, and what we can do better. So it becomes primary innovation instead of secondary innovation. Primary innovation is when you come up with the idea to actually do something more for our community, to establish more, and we have that. But it's secondary in the sense that we're not paying attention to what the elders have tried to start, have exhausted themselves in starting. So every single time when we get a gathering such as this, we do need to pay homage to our ancestors, and we need to respect our elders, and all the kids need to see that. Because the moment you have that type of value in play, you begin to value each other. You begin to see a clear idea of where we come from, and you see exactly where we're going to go. And it starts simple, because you can either just stop and talk and listen to an elder, which is very important. They may drop jewels that are embedded in a lot of other dialogue, but it's important to pay attention. But when you see other children walking by disrespecting elders, that needs to be corrected. It doesn't have to be, send them on down the street to get beat by everybody in everybody's house. It can just be one specific time of attention where you're giving to that child and you're reminding them that they need to respect their elders. When we have that, our foundation becomes a little bit more solid. It becomes more sturdier. And what we're building, these ideas, these ways to build relationships, you know, to fill in the gaps with these questions about what's happening to our community. What about gentrification? There may be an elder who actually went as far as getting 9 acres of land on the east side you may not even know about because they've already been weeded out. Nobody spoke to this elder, and now they're sitting somewhere in a nursing home. You have no idea what's going on. So we think about it. It's a brand new idea. We want to start something. We want to get land, but there may be a couple of people still in office that prevented them from doing that. So if we look further and downstream, we kind of see that we really should have checked our oars, our boats, the current way ahead of time, way upstream. So bottom line for me is if we continue to respect our elders, teach that to our little ones that we see running around, whether they're yours or they're not, then we actually have a good start for a foundation where a lot of this can actually be subsistent and sustainable.
You know, that's a different feeling. Keeping us reminded of our foundation. I know I'm, of course, a nation builder age, and it kills me when warriors say to me, ain't nobody ever done nothing. Ain't nobody done nothing. I mean, looking around like, who ain't done nothing? You all ever had that experience with young people? They act like work has not been done and discredits what has been done as if they have to come up with new ideas. So that was very important information that Akiva reminded us of. And goes back to what Brother Hatim was saying, which I know many of us that operate under the intergenerational order of going to our elders, seeking permission from our elders, getting guidance from our elders, and direction for our elders is very much maintained. It helps keep you in check, right? And then it gives us, again, those precious institutions of knowledge to pass on to our young people. So Akiva, I thank you for that. Hatim, I thank you also. And I think it's just good order for all of you all. Or all of us, I did say you all, all of us in the room, that if you're not connected to an elder, to get connected with an elder. And we're never too old. Sometimes operating to me from a very Eurocentric perspective, when you become an adult, you think you're so grown, you know everything, it's very dangerous. It could be you could be a casualty to your own self and the work that you do and how it impacts others. So even if you're a nation builder or think you've grown of grown age or whatever, however that applies, get you an elder. You need a mentor too. We need a mentor throughout this whole journey on this planet. Ashe? All right, then I think it's time to see who's gonna get this picture.
Okay.
This picture now. Do you have something to say on it?
Yeah, I want to say.
Okay, then we're gonna do the raffle.
Okay, so we need a piece of paper up here or something, so y'all can sign it. And we need help for this year. We start early. Well, my wife started in like March this year for Kwanzaa. So if you want to be involved in the Kwanzaa committee, and also to just stay in touch with what. Oh, okay, good, yeah. So we can get in touch with you guys. I think it's a good core group, the folks that I'm looking at, to be in touch with each other so we can build together.
So just on the sign-in sheet, just maybe put a star or an asterisk by your name, and then we'll know to follow up with you and keep you in communication. Yes, and we have books up here for the babies. If you have young people, know of young people, want to take somebody a book, please come up here and help yourselves to the book. They were given to us, and so we want to make sure our young people get them to continue to spark that critical thinking and reading excellence in our young people. Take a book. And okay, we're about to, now it's time for the raffle. Hatim and Nia, we want to see who's gonna get, I'm sorry, bro. We're gonna see who's gonna get to take the picture home. We've been all week collecting raffle tickets so that somebody can have, I wish I would have put my, I guess it ain't going to our house. I would love it to go to our house. That's a beautiful picture. But I didn't want to I ain't mad, sis. I'm gonna come to your house and look at it. Emily, you put your name in there too? Oh, come on, Emily. I'm mad. Okay, you got it. Do my own drum rolls all day. Yeah. Can we get a drum roll? Thank you, Dad.
Keith Ferguson in the house.
Yes,
You know who, Brother Keith? He showed him put a complete number on there.
That's how we got a village. All right.
Move away from me. I got it.
Brother Keith.
Watch the table.
Oh, Brother Keith, where's the glasses? Brother Keith, yeah, we can get up with it. We know Brother Keith. Brother Keith. Yep.
Hey, sit down,
We don't have his number right ready, but the elders would have his number and they would have a way to contact him. So Brother Keith, I don't think we are live anymore. We may still be. We are excited that you are now the proud owner of the portrait. And what we're going to do, everyone, is we're going to, when we award this to Brother Keith, we are going to make sure we take a picture of him receiving it, and then we will be posting that on our Facebook page and our website for everyone to see the picture of the rapper. Right? Okay. We are excited about that. Don't forget, we got Sankofa. You still got some over there? Okay, hey, if y'all hungry, y'all better not leave here without a plate. Everybody get Sankofa. How's Sankofa Kitchen? I think these brothers have Sankofa Kitchen. How was Sankofa Kitchen? Good.
My mouth's watering. I don't know. I didn't eat it yet, but I've spent money with them before, so it's good.
Get you some Sankofa Kitchen for your leave. Okay, y'all, let's leave out here on a strong note. Any other party words? Let's lift our voices and sing and leave on out here. Everybody get there. If they have a program book, it is in the program book. You want to make kind of a semicircle because we look a little. I want us to look unified and leave out strong. We look a little disunified right now. So if we can come around, because then we're gonna end on some. We decentralized. We become centralized, and then we're gonna end on some Harambe. And the program was excellent again today. And sometimes an intimate conversation is what's needed. You know what I'm saying, amongst the community. Are they gonna jam us out? Okay, family, come on forward. We're gonna sing and they're gonna jam. Who amongst us is a songster? Who amongst us is a songster? Don't be bashful. Where's Shelly? Oh, come on, sister. I'm gonna need you. Come on. All gifts. This is what you're talking about. You bring your gifts, and we appreciate you. And you can lead us real strong and look like it. You can do it strong.
Are we all together? Can we get the drum going and we will
Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven. Ring with the
Right here, here we go. Woo!
Around me! Around me! Around me! Around me! Around me! Around me! Around me!
Hey, real quick announcement too. Real quick announcement for parents, just so you know, starting January 31st, children, if you know any parents or you have children, both male and female between the ages of 12 and 16, I'm doing a program, 6-week program. It's going to be once a week. It's going to be on Wednesday. It's going to be at the church right over the bridge from Lincoln Cafe and Lincoln Theater. That church right there, right over that bridge. It's going to be every Wednesday, and it's going to be $16 a session.
African Methodist Church right
Yes,
there.
yeah. And so,
United African Methodist Church right there on Laurel Street.
yes, right on wrong. And so that's going to be for a 6-week program. We're going to be talking about thanking years. I'm going to be talking about surviving the encounter. I got a partner coming up from Kentucky who's going to teach 2 classes on coding. And so coding, computer coding, yes. And so if you're interested, it's going to cost parents $100 for the 6-week program, but it will be once a week for an hour and a half each week. And so if you know any between the ages of particularly 12 and 16, then let me know, inbox me, urimagram@gmail. And also we will be doing an interview with this queen here concerning her program with project for dealing with our young boys, our young youth as well. And so for those that so for those that follow me on YouTube, Periscope, that sort of thing, IG, you can be looking out for that. That will be within the next week. So with that, yes. Yes. Go ahead.
All right, family. See Yes, sir.
So yeah, but it's
Hey. Huh?
Hey, when y'all start your classes back up?
That is,
So,
Oh.
hey, he got class Friday.
you got your CD yet?
Send them when your class.
Anything on CD?
Yo, right. Hey, you know it's just for driving out of town. Play something like that, man. It'll be like 2 hours went by. You're like, yeah. That's good. You got something else I
Hey, play if you don't ask. You can't see it, you can't ask.
You keep in touch. Right, right. I got jazz. Yeah, we got jazz. But you know what? You get on Spotify. Yeah, they pay and they go straight to your account. People see it, don't buy CDs. Cars, the new cars don't have CDs. Shell or yeah. Streaming.